You're tuned in to the NNW podcast. Fresh takes, big energy, no nonsense. Let's get into it.
Welcome again to the Never Not Working podcast. As always, I'm your host, Will Basco, and today I get to hang out with a good friend of mine, Tim Staniels. If you know Tim, he is tall Tim Staniels, 6'9", I believe, right, Tim?
Yes, sir.
All right, so
6'9".
Tim, absolutely, man. Thanks for being on the show. So if you've never seen any of our episodes, this is nothing more than connecting. I want to connect you with Tim, professionally or personally. We're going to dive into his life, and he's going to get to tell the story of a little bit about Tim Staniels, what he believes in, what he stands for, and how he got to the point of being with LG where he's working at right now. So Tim, first of all, thank you for your time. I know your days are extremely packed with meetings all day, but thank you for allowing me 30 minutes of your time today.
Absolutely, Will. It's always good to see you. This is one of the better Zoom meetings I've been on today. Put it that way.
Perfect. Well, we always like to have fun, so we'll just dive right into it, man. Just tell us a little bit about Tim, man. Where were you born? Where did you
Sure.
grow up? I know you're married, you got kids, you got a great family. So tell us a little bit about Tim Staniels.
Sure, man. I was born and grew up outside of Albany, New York. But spent pretty much my whole childhood up there. Graduated in '97. Uh, grew up playing. I got two sisters. Uh, grew up playing basketball. Obviously, you mentioned my height, so that's usually the first thing anybody asks me. Did you play basketball? Yes, I did. Yes, I played in college. I went to Hartwood College up near Syracuse. Was not good enough to go beyond that. But to be honest with you, that was that's what got me through. That's what got me through school. And at the time, I wasn't looking at anything related to sales, building, trades, anything like that. I graduated with a degree in sociology and ended up being a social worker for a long time with adjudicated youth. Adjudicated youth being kids in the court system. My first role right out of school was working with city kids on parole in Hartford, Connecticut. Okay, lot of poverty there, a lot of gangs. If you ever watch Gangland and that episode of from Hartford, I know probably 50% of the homes and people that were on that show. So my role then
Wow.
was working with parole and some pretty badass kids and trying to point them in the right direction. And the joke around town was I don't not look like a police officer. So it was it was tough to get it started. So that's sort of how it was.
How long did you do that?
That was a 1-year contract. From there, I moved up to Boston and worked at a pre-release program. Same type of job, same type of thing. It's basically the halfway house these kids would go to after being released from juvie. All right, so it was a lot of glorified babysitting, checking on meds, making sure kids are where they need to be, whether it's in school, if they have a job, if they've got visitation with the family, trying to keep them on the right path. More successful with some than others, but it definitely, I will say, it definitely gave me a particular skill set that surprisingly applies to what I do now. As far as reading the room, reading the energetic exchange, whatever it is that you're doing, certainly toughened me up a little bit, being a suburban upstate New York kid who seeing what a different section of society lives like. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Now, were you married at this time?
I was not. It was not something. It was certainly not a salary that could support a family. We'll put it that way. I met my first wife while I was doing that, but then ultimately, for safety and monetary reasons, ended up moving back to Albany. Joined a place called Northeast Career Planning, which was really vocational rehab for folks with disabilities. That's where I really found my love for. I was coaching Special Olympics at the time. I was helping folks from special education departments all the way up through the OMRDD, which is the Office of Mental Health and Retardation. We were helping them find work, gainful employment, housing, things like that, navigate different disability programs, and which, quite frankly, that was funded by the Social Security Administration. So I dabbled my feet into what it's like to get things done with our whoever's in charge and
Yeah.
whoever's
Okay.
in office
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, someday, some administrations were easier than others to work with, but it's I had a very roundabout way of getting into what I do now. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and just,
I know that had to open your heart up to see those kids that
yeah,
one were troubled, and then to go through the special needs kids. My
yeah.
wife did some substitute teaching, and she was scared to death that they were going to put her in the special needs just because it was the unknown.
Oh
And
yeah,
they ended up doing that, and she absolutely loved it. She said, "Hey, put me in here every week if you
every
got
time.
something." So yeah, she loved those kids. She just the heart of them. So you get out of that, and then what happened to Mr. Tim Staniels back in Albany? See, so
Oh,
I'm originally from
Albany.
uptown that's right outside of Albany, which is three
Yeah.
syllables, and you guys have Albany up there. So
Well, I've been living in Massachusetts too long, but when I go back home where I grew up, it's Albany. Albany. So
Albany. It is.
I get a
Yeah,
lot of
okay.
that. I get I'm in the belly of the accent beast for the Northeast right now. So there's different accents
Absolutely.
I'm on Cape Cod. There's outside of Boston, all that kind of stuff, all the way down to New York City. So, oh yeah, no, I got
Yeah.
it. I
And
stayed with that for a while.
somehow you became friends with a redneck.
I remember one of our first calls when you were asking about boilers. And I thought you were talking about bowling.
Yeah.
It took us about
Yeah,
3 or 4
ballers,
minutes to figure out
ballers.
what
What's up? Yeah,
what's a baller? So a
that's right.
boiler.
That's right.
That was a
That's
good one.
Southern slang, man. That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Alright.
But, yeah,
So what happened? So you did that with the special needs kids, and then
I
then
did.
what? Where did you transition to?
Well, once I got married and started thinking about having kids, realized, well, social work and things like that certainly doesn't pay enough to support a family. So
Yeah.
once I decided, all right, I'm going to get into sales. Went on a couple interviews here and there, and people were looking at me like, "Well, how the heck are you going to do this from social work?" And actually, this was a good story. It helped me. It kind of helped frames how I approach things. About I don't know 6 months after I was first hired into my first sales job, which was gutters and windows, place called Huff and Puff in upstate New York. Huff and Puff and Insulate Your House.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
great company, still around.
Yeah.
My sales
Yeah.
manager at the time, we went out for breakfast after our morning sales meeting. And he looks at me and says, "You know why I decided to hire you?" I said, "Honestly, I don't, Joe." And he said, "Well, about 8, 10 years ago, I was trying to sell some of my land. He had 117 acres outside Albany, and it's zoned agricultural. And every single real estate broker and agent was taking a look at this land. They were frothing at the bit because he was trying to sell 100 acres of it. My father at the time owned a real estate company. He's a broker, and and Joe tells me, my sales manager, said he was the only realtor who walked my property who refused the listing. So why did he refuse it? He said because my father, side note, grew up in the sticks, grew up riding horses. And he looked around. He said, "You got no topsoil here. When did you sell it?" And Joe apparently smiled. And a couple of years prior, he sold all the topsoil off of this agricultural land. So,
Yeah.
and point was,
Useless.
he was useless. Yeah. Point was, my father was honest. And when he saw my name come across, he remembered that. And I did not want to get into real estate. I did not want to be known as Pete's son. I wanted to make my own way. But the fact that he saw my last name, he said, "Well, if Pete raised this guy, at least he's going to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll give him a shot because of that." So, and the good thing is he didn't let me know that until 6, 8 months into the job. So that way I was able to start making my own way before I realized, he didn't give me the job just because I was his son. He gave me a shot because of it. So
Sure. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that, I was kind of In the beginning, I was wrestling, with the whole term salesman. It's a 4-letter word to most people. You're just a salesman. You're just a salesman. And I
Yeah.
realized something. Well, no, I'm here to. If you've invited me to your home to talk about windows or gutters or whatever it is for a couple hours out of your day on a Friday afternoon after you've been working all week, guess what? You're buying something and you need help buying it. So it was very simple, very easy to realize I'm here to help. How do I get this done in my
Yeah.
house? How do I get this one more thing off my plate? And that was a pivotal point for me when I realized I'm actually still being of service here. Because I think that's the main point. The most satisfied I've ever been in any role I've held is how do I be of service? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, from there, I excelled. I did well. I was one of the top producers in upstate New York for what I was doing for a good 6, 7 years. Made it up to the manager position. Alongside that, a close friend of mine went from IT to sales in HVAC and distribution. So he would call me. He got
Okay.
promoted up to management. We would talk here and there about, hey, I got this kind of personality on my team. What would you say about this? Talking about just managerial type things. And then one day, finally, he calls and says, "Hey, I need to fire somebody." I said, "Are you asking me how to fire him?" He said, "No, I need somebody to take over the territory on Cape Cod." Uh, Coincidentally, my ex-wife grew up there. She hated where we're living in Albany, so I knew she would say yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I said, "You know what? I don't know anything about HVAC. I don't know the difference between a compressor and a condenser or this or that. I just know that box in the basement makes my house
Sure.
warm." And he said, "I don't care. I could teach you that. I need somebody who can sell and I don't have to hold his hand." So a
Yeah.
couple weeks later, did the interview, passed a drug test, and a week and a half later, I was in the truck moving down to Cape Cod. That's how I got here. So it was a
Now, who was that with? Who was that with?
Holman's Associates. I was at
Holman's.
the
Yep.
time it was Bryan Northeast. When Watsco bought it, Holman's was part of Carrier Enterprise, and then there's all sorts of stuff. But Holman's Associates is one of the top Mitsubishi and Bryan distributors in the country right now, if
Yep.
not the top.
Yep.
So
Got a great
did that
name.
for a
Yep.
long. Yeah, yeah, good program, good people. Now a competitor of mine, but we're all still friends. Just ran into a couple of them yesterday at a conference. Said hello, had a cup of coffee, just trading logos on our polo shirts, basically.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So how long were you with Holman's?
7.5 years. Yep.
Okay.
Did well. Made some good relationships. Also learned some lessons there. I was doing very well for market share in my area. Got pretty comfortable. Got pretty cocky, to be honest with you, and realized, oh, I'm number 6 in the country for market share in my area. I'm running this. I'm doing that. I'm the next guy in line to be the big guy. And next thing I know, now I know, my territory was very, very small on Cape Cod and the islands. Um, Now I know, forward thinking wise, they eliminated that position, laid me off. I know why. It was because, very simply, there was an opportunity that was coming down the pike for Homans to expand their territory elsewhere with a much more profitable area. At the time, it was a panic moment. I got 2 kids now, living on Cape Cod, which is not a cheap place to live. Holy
Yeah.
cow. Life, what just happened, right? Within a day and a half, I
Yeah.
had an offer from another distributor. Went pretty well. And then, ironically, the pandemic hit. And we got an email from our CFO. Everything's fine. Nobody worry. Everyone's job is safe. We're doing fine. And I looked over at my wife. I said, "I'll bet you by Friday I get a call because I've only been on a few months." And sure enough, that Friday,
Yeah.
there it was, and I took a beat. It was during COVID, so nobody was going anywhere, and I spent more. I actually I was happier at that time because I was spending time with my family. They were homeschooling, which was awful, but we created our own curriculum because there was 4 hours of schoolwork and another 3 or 4 hours of normal school days that they had to do whatever. So we created our own curriculum, and I said, guys, pick a class. What do you want to do? One of my boys said, I want to do wilderness survival class. One of my boys said, I want to be
Okay.
able
Yeah.
to build a cabin. So we cut down a bunch of the scrub pines on our land, and we built a little tiki hut in the backyard. All right.
Yeah.
One of them want to do archery. I like to shoot arrows. I didn't show them the bigger stuff, but we got a couple of my old bows from when I was a kid, and we walked out and we learned archery. Got to walking around in the woods. What I would do is that, all right, we'll get lost on our way through the trails. We'll get lost, and I want you to pay attention to landmarks. And it's your job. Once I say go, it's your job to find your way back to the truck. And then we'd walk back to the truck. So it was a good time.
Cool.
That
Yeah.
is when
Yeah.
I ended up meeting you guys, because JB
Yeah.
Warranties, being so adept at remote online stuff, and I had experience selling Mitsubishi prior to it. I actually called Cody, our old buddy over there, because I saw on LinkedIn that the position was open. He had the position for my area. I said, hey, just checking on him, because I had gotten laid off during COVID too. And he said, nah, man, I got a
Yeah.
promotion. And then he smiled, and a couple
Yeah.
days later, I'm talking to the execs over there, and I got hired. That's how it went.
Yeah.
And I talked to you a few times over Zoom, and then finally met you face to face, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So you spent what is it, 3 or 4 years there at JB?
Yeah, 3.5. 3.5. There was non-existent up in the Northeast when I took over, and I take a lot of pride in the growth that happened there. A lot of it was heat pump
Yeah, you did a
related.
phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, really expanded
Yeah,
on a lot of those relationships I had at the time.
that was a fun time growing that business. We grew it together, and
Yeah,
you working for Don Napier over there, and um
sir.
now was Cody on when you were there? Did
Briefly, and then he left soon after, and that's when Don got
Okay,
bumped
yeah.
up to
So
that position. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
really
So
like Cody Grant, then Don
so
replaced him. So yeah,
yeah,
really good territory up there that nobody was really working in. Cody did a phenomenal job from Texas trying to go
yes,
to
he
the
did.
Mid-Atlantic. So I
That's a
know
long commute,
that
my
was
friend.
hard for him, but
It's a long commute.
for sure. For sure. So
Yep.
you sold warranties, you did a phenomenal job there, and then I know you moved over to
To LG HVAC Solutions USA. Yes, sir.
you
That actually
yep.
was a
So
funny
you've been
story
there
too.
what 2
Just about a year and a half now. Yeah, yeah. That was a funny story
yep.
how that happened. I was, as a JB rep, I was at a distributor event at a brewery, and they they opened the bar before we all got to present. So by the time, and I was slated to go last, and Don was there with me, and he and I are looking at each other. He's like, "Dude, what are we even doing here?" Because there was nobody listening to anybody, and I finally said, "Well, screw it. I'm just going to be me." And Will, you know me, and whoever else watches this who does know I don't have much of a filter. So I just said, "All right, I'm just going to try something." I had the microphone, and I got 3 people listening who who already knew about warranties, or already knew about registrations. They didn't need my spiel. So I said, well, let's just see how far this microphone stretches. And I just kept walking back towards the bar, and there's my friend Dave Hazel, and our friend Steve Scarborough, who is the highest ranking American born executive in LG at the time. He
Yeah.
both previously worked for Mitsubishi Corporate. And I put my microphone up in their faces, and I said, introduce yourself, sir. It's Dave Hazel, Steve Scarborough. I was like, holy cow, Steve Scarborough, everybody. And everyone started laughing. It was funny. And, we ended up going through the process. And afterwards, I went up to Mr. Scarborough and said, I apologize. And he said, don't worry about it. Grand opening of our new training lab is tomorrow. Why don't you come by? So I did, with the JB shirt on, and saw the grand opening of the training lab. That was great. Got a call from our friend Dustin. He goes, hey man, it's Friday. I got steaks on the grill. Do me a favor, text me your resume. And then he hung up. So I did, and
Okay.
again, a couple months later, some negotiations, some back and forth, got hired here, and been here ever since, and really took a little time to adjust to international global corporate culture, which is a lot.
Yeah,
A
I can
bigger
imagine.
transition, bigger learning curve than I anticipated, but overall, very, very positive one.
Well, I know Dustin speaks highly of you, saying you know you're doing a phenomenal job over there. Dustin's doing a great job as well. Um,
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit about your role there with LG. What do you do on a
sure.
day in, day out basis for them?
Well, in the beginning, and still to this for this point is distributor and dealer development. All right, a lot of business development type activity. Anybody who knows me knows I will never claim to be the technical expert as far as equipment and the technology is concerned. However, as far as the dealer base and helping companies become profitable, that's really where I think that's my sweet spot. Um, I present and I speak quite often to different size rooms and different size groups, and I was walking my dogs with my 11-year-old son not long ago, and he asked me. He goes, "Dad, what do you like about HVAC about HVAC?" Said, "It's nothing. It's not HVAC." He said, "Well, why do you have you been doing this for so long?" I said, "It's the people. I love tradespeople. They're the hardest working people that we know. They're the people who keep your house warm and keep your house cool in the summer. They're people who come out and fix something that I say I can fix, but I know I can't. I'll screw it up, and then they have to come fix what I tried to fix." And we're
Yeah,
walking up our street, and he's looking at all the nice houses around, and the nicest houses that with the most toys, the boats, the nicest cars. I said, "Who do you think that guy does?" He said, "Oh, he's probably a doctor." I said, "Nope, that's a plumber." I said, what about him over here? Lawyer, I don't know, politician. Nope, that guy's an electrician. Well, how do they have all this stuff? Because they work hard for it. When you
sure.
go over and play with the kids, is Mr. Smith home? Nope. Why isn't he home on a Saturday? Because he's out working, making sure somebody's house is comfortable. And then he gets so work hard, play hard, but they're they put it out all out on the line every single day. So my goal and my favorite part of what I do is making sure that those small, medium-sized family-owned companies are able to stay in business, be profitable, and compete with those bigger guys. All right, those private equity firms own firms that have 40, 50 trucks on the road and seemingly unlimited resources. How if I'm a 3 or 4 man shop, how do I compete against that? Well, you partner with a manufacturer like LG or whoever your manufacturer is. You talk to those reps, see what kind of programming they have, what kind of opportunities they have to help grow the business and help whatever the goal of that business owner is. Is it, do I want to grow? And do I want to grow enough and then cash out in 10 years? Do I want to pass this down to my kids and have them run the business? What is their goal? And I call myself, my title is senior account manager. What I call myself is a holistic business consultant for the trades. And the reason I say that
Yeah,
is because I want to know every part of that business. What's going well? What's not? Are there holes in your business plan that I can help fill? All right. And if there's not, great. At least we had a good conversation. I learned something today.
right.
All right. And I hope to bring that type of value to whoever I'm talking to. And that's served me well. I've created some good relationships. And honestly, I've done it differently than the folks I've always competed against because, like I told you earlier on, I didn't know anything about the industry when I got here, but I know tradespeople.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
that's, you run into people all the time that says, I don't want to get into sales. I'm not a salesman. Everybody's a salesperson because
100%.
it's all relationship based. Every one of them. I kind of fall into the same boat that you do, Tim, of enjoying the trades because, like you said, it's hardworking, usually very genuine people that would give their shirt off your back
Yeah.
uh, just to be in a relationship with you. So, um, I've been in the trade since '97. Worked on kind of the same story with the distribution, and then over to the vendor side of things. So, um, what do you see in the immediate future? Do you see AI changing any of our relationship based stuff? I
Yep.
know AI. Everybody talks about AI, but what's
Yep.
your stance on AI and the sales role uh, in the heating and airspace?
I will say this first. They will not replace human to human interaction. I can tell you that. I'm very confident about that. The hardest I've struggled is doing virtual meetings because I need a real energetic exchange. I don't have a lot of superpowers, but one of them is reading a room. All right. AI can't do that.
Yep.
All right. I will say it is absolutely here. All right. For those folks who are really resistant to things like that are the same folks who were resistant to e-commerce when that came out. Well, look what Amazon did. All right. The folks who are resistant to offering financing. Well, guess what? If you don't offer financing, we know we're leaving jobs on the table. AI is another version of this. It's the next shift. And when I came to LG, one of the things that I was saying, I could see it. Writing was on the wall. When we were at JB, we had access to multiple manufacturers, every distributor that let us in. We could see what was in the barn, who was doing well, who wasn't, what kind of claims were coming through, which gave us a really big leg up from those folks who've been stuck in the same lane the whole time. With AI, this is the new version of that. And when I came to LG, I said, guys, I want to be. There is a shift in the industry coming. I didn't know it was AI at the time. I said, but I
Sure.
would like to be guiding the shift as opposed to reacting to it. Because those folks who react to whatever changes, whether it's refrigerant, whether it's technology, whether it's software, whatever it is, they're reacting, and there's a catch up phase that can affect their business. Whereas if you're guiding it, you're going to see some growing pains. However, once those are smoothed out, now you're in a spot that puts you ahead of most of your competitors. The direction I came to LG not for the technology, not for the name. Yes, everybody's got a TV or a refrigerator or something that's got that little smiley face logo on it. I came here for the people.
Yeah.
They had the same type of forward thinking attitude that I wanted to be around. All right.
Yeah.
And the majority of my first 6, 8 months here was figuring out corporately, internally, what's negotiable and what's not. So within the structure that was given to me, what changes can I help facilitate in order to be successful at my role, make the guys signing my paychecks happy, as well as making all of my clients happy. All right. It's certainly none of those things are easy to do, but being looking for a creative way, nothing's getting cheaper. How can we be creative and help homeowners be able to afford this stuff? Um, how can we navigate this refrigerant change? What goes into that? What sort of town, state, and local, state, and federal codes are changing, constantly changing? Sometimes town to town. All right.
Yeah.
That's very confusing. And if you think about it, if you're a business owner, you're already dealing with a customer base, no matter how big or small that customer base is, especially in heating and cooling. That's an essential worker going back to the pandemic. That's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff on your plate. And if you're a 3 or 4 man shop and you're an owner operator, you're out installing, you got to do the books. Maybe you're lucky to have a family member help you do the books for you. But your hand is in every single part of that. How can we help make this
Yeah.
easier for you to do your job, which in turn makes it easier for the homeowner to make their purchase, which again helps us increase sales, which keeps the bean counters happy. But overall, holistically, it helps us all succeed in the same process. All right.
Yeah.
AI in terms of
That,
that it's very much connected because a lot of the stuff that you and I had to do on, filling out finance forms on, triplicate. And if you cross the T the wrong way, you got to start over. You can all do that with an
yeah.
app now. They have sales platforms you can do with an app now. I can look at a town, just a small section of a town with certain platforms right now. And I can tell who's already made energy efficient upgrades, who's got solar in their house, who's got electrification in their house, if they have natural gas, have they changed the windows out? All right. It sounds kind of creepy. It sounds like Big Brother looking at you, but that's based upon data that comes from sales. All right. And this
Yeah,
is,
absolutely.
it's that it's I mean, hell, our friend Tersh and his podcast, I was out in Utah and he said, "Hey, just try doing you just put something into Chat GPT for a LinkedIn post." My first time ever doing it. And I did, and it came out great. And I'm like, all right, it's cut and
Yeah.
paste here and there. And that was the most reacted to post I had. It was better worded than I could have done. So
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Well, it's got its place. There's things
Mhm.
that it will never take. It will never
Great.
take, like you said, human to human selling. It'll never
No.
replace that because people buy from people. Now I do know that when you go to Walmart or somewhere, you buy from a machine because you got to check yourself out now. Totally different
Totally
things. But
different.
something else that you said in that was that the importance of distribution and manufacturing. So if you're a heating and air guy out there and you're
Mhm.
wondering why how to grow your business, partner with a distributor or manufacturer because one,
Agreed.
they talk to these people throughout the country, throughout the state, especially your area that go through the same struggles that you do every day. So reach out, find you a good distributor manufacturer that can walk alongside you and help you grow your
Yes.
business. Man,
100% correct.
Tim, great history of how you got to from uh taking care of kids ultimately
A lot
to
of
the
it's the
heat and air.
same.
It's
You've talked to
yeah,
him too. A lot
yeah,
of it's the same. It's
herding
not
cats,
just
right? Herding cats.
yeah. Yeah, if I'm sure some of
Yeah.
some of my some of my clients will
Mhm.
be watching this at some point, and not all of you, but you guys know who you are.
So, the last part of the segment I always do is a I know a guy segment. So I always ask 2 questions. I ask the question of who do you want to meet professionally? And it could
Mhm.
be anybody professionally if it's just more contractors or, another distribution or whatever. And then
Mhm.
who do you want to meet personally? And it could be as dumb as meeting Penn and Teller or somebody. So professionally, who would Tim Staniels want to rub elbows with and get to meet?
Sure, man. That's a tough question, but I got to say, I've met some pretty heavy hitters, especially in the last year and a half. I've been lucky enough to meet some of the higher ups from South Korea, from LG. But yeah, professionally, I don't. Honestly, I don't know that I have an answer to that because I try to stay as unscripted as possible in um, my own direction, I guess, professionally, because I want to stay open.
Sure.
And I'll be. I had the unexpected opportunity through talking to a childhood friend who spent a lot of years in large corporations like a GE, like a Boeing, international type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I met folks from out of my industry, which really helped change my perspective. There's a gentleman I was speaking to who's done a few TED Talks, written a couple of books, who left the industry and helped change my perspective because I was getting frustrated with how long it takes to get the stuff done at times. And he said, "Well, you can do one of two things. You can quit and struggle for another couple of years and open up a coffee shop with crystals in the back and grow a ponytail, man bun, and all that stuff, or you can do what you said you were going to do when you got here, and two things are going to happen. The guarantee is you're gonna someone's going to notice you from your one of your bosses. So okay, but the two things that are going to happen is either really going to not like what you had, what you're doing, and they'll fire you and you get a severance, or you're gonna do something that's pretty cool and outside of the box, and they're gonna be interested in that. And that's what that perspective that I got from this gentleman was uh, life changing in terms of my career because that's what I did. And
Yeah. Well, I would really
I'm
like to see you in a man bun. That'd be awesome.
right. I'm already ducking through doorways, my friend. Man bun just wouldn't work.
Yeah. So
um,
personally,
yeah.
who would you want to meet personally?
Um, hey man, I grew up in New York watching the Knicks and the Yankees play. All right, I'm a New York fan. I'm sorry to everybody who's not, and sorry you don't have as many championships as we did on the Yankees. But Derek Jeter, and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
are my dudes. Those are my dudes. So
Yeah. That would be cool.
maybe if your new venture takes off the way I think it's gonna, maybe they'll see it and shoot me a line.
Absolutely, man. Well,
Yeah,
Derek Jeter, Patrick Ewing, you're on the clock.
that's it,
Reach out
man.
to Will Vasco at Never Not Working.
That's it. That's it.
So
Never not working, my friend.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, again, man, thanks for the time today. I know that, like I said before, I know you're wide open and busy, but hopefully we'll run into each other out there, out in the wild again soon.
Yes, sir.
And then,
If I learned anything, it's a small industry. As big as this country is, this is
abs-
a small industry. We're going to see each other. We all see each other here and there. So,
yeah. It is.
yeah,
So
my friend.
again, if you're watching this show and you want to learn more about LG or just meet Tim Staniels, his info will be in the body of this video. Just click on it, find Tim through LinkedIn or wherever you can find him. If you need help finding him, let me know. I can do the same. I can put you two together. But by all means, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you do for us. And as
Absolutely.
always, with Tim Staniels of LG and Will Basco here, we are never not working. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. All right.